Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to replace the logic board, or if you want to call it the motherboard, on this mid-2013 A1466. I think this is a 13-inch MacBook Air. Alright, so I already took this is the original motherboard that was in there. The customer wanted to upgrade to one with more RAM and a better CPU, so they bought this. Okay, that's what we got. What I'm going to be doing is showing you how to, I guess, reassemble it. If you want to know how to take it out, you can just go in reverse. But I do have a video where I do take the motherboard out, but this one, since I already took it out, I'm just going to be reassembling it. One thing to keep in mind when you're working on the MacBook, or I guess any computer, after removing the battery, the first thing you want to do after opening it is remove the battery. And then you want to open the laptop, press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds to drain any power from the board, so you don't have any capacitors that are high voltage that can fry. A lot of times you can fry the video connector, the LCD LVDS connector over here, if you disconnect that, and especially if it goes like slightly at an angle. So you want to disconnect the battery and drain it before doing that. Alright, we're going to remove the heatsink here. So this has 4 screws. I do need to clean off the thermal paste and then put new thermal paste on it, but yeah, we're gonna be doing that. Other than that, I think the motherboard has everything on it already. That's how the customer got it. I did take out all the other components. Again, I do have a video. Okay, so this rubber piece here, it has a little dimple that goes into this hole here, so we gotta pull that up out of the way and then take that out. This is the old motherboard, okay? And I don't know if there's really a way to tell which is which, so I'm going to leave the old thermal paste on here for now until I get it completely all removed and everything. Okay, so here's the new one. I did clean this up because there was some old thermal paste on there, but I do need to clean it with some isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll just get a piece of paper towel, and then I have some 91% isopropyl alcohol here. I'm just going to put it on the paper towel, and then we're just going to kind of clean that a little bit. Okay, so Apple doesn't put thermal paste on this part of the processor, though if you do, it's not going to like die. I've put thermal paste across the entire thing before, and it's never had an issue, but just keep that in mind. There's no thermal paste on there, so if you do see it like that, that's fine. Here you can actually see here, they don't put thermal paste over there, okay? So we're going to clean this off. I'm going to actually use a toothbrush to kind of scrape all this stuff into the trash next to me, okay? And also a paper towel to kind of help brush it off, okay? So, sorry, I know I'm just doing this outside of the view of the camera, but I can't really brush that stuff onto my desk, so yeah. Alright, so here's the heatsink. It's all clean now, and we're going to use the paper towel that has the isopropyl rubbing alcohol on it. Alright, and then we'll dry it. So I switch to the dry side now. Okay, and there we go. You can see it turned a little gray, cleaning off the thermal paste. Okay, so for this, you just want a little line of thermal paste here. It does spread super thin, so you don't need it to be super thick. Basically, you can make like about the size of a grain of rice. Oops, sorry, I left the charger on. It was probably sounding weird with the recording. I turned it off now. But anyways, you do about the size of a grain of rice, and then we're going to kind of run it along this way. And then we're going to have to kind of spread it out because this CPU core thing is super thin. Oh, I almost dropped it on the thing. There we go. Okay, it's a little bit tricky here, but do that. Okay, and we might need a little bit more. Okay. Again, you don't need a crazy amount. If you want, you can put a bit more, but you don't want to put too much because it'll squeeze out over the edges, and then the heat won't be going into the heatsink. You want kind of as close to perfect as you can, but it's difficult when you don't really know what you're doing. Some people said that there's a negligible difference, so if you want, you can do whatever you want, whatever you think, but I would say this works best. Basically, you make the shape like that, so then when you put the heatsink on, it'll push all the air bubbles outside, and then it'll spread super thin, okay? So anyways, we're going to go ahead, make sure this rubber piece is out of the way, because that does need to go on the other side underneath the motherboard. So get that over that way, okay? Then we'll line this up. We got 4 screws to put back. So what you do is you loosely fit it first, okay? So just get the screw in, and we'll loosely fit that screw. Then we'll go and get the second one in this other corner. We'll line it up, and we'll get that screw in as well. Okay, these things are spring-loaded, so you do need to push down a little bit when you go to screw it in. Okay, otherwise it won't turn, okay? Okay, so I just loosely fit them first. Next, we're gonna make sure this lines up and goes in properly. Okay, this little rubber piece, push that in, all right? And you can see now it's sitting flat there. Good, all right. Then we're gonna go ahead and screw this in diagonal, like side by side. You can see this actually can wobble a little bit, so try and get it as centered as you can. If you want, you can actually leave it loose like this and then put this in the motherboard, because there's one more screw we have to do. So we're gonna leave this a little bit loose actually, and then we'll put the motherboard back in the case first. Okay, and this is what the inside the casing looks like without the motherboard. All right, oops, okay. And there's all these cables here that you got to kind of move out of the way. This one's tricky because this goes over the screw here that holds that, which is kind of annoying. Technically, if you don't want to put this screw back, you could actually just tuck all of this stuff back in. There's a little part that this pulls up from. Again, I have a video showing that, but this is mainly just putting this new one in there. Okay, we're going to go in at an angle. Actually, you want to go in at an angle this way. So hold this out of the way. Tuck that in. There should be a little rubber thing there. Get that in. Okay, make sure you push it in all the way, and then you can slowly let it drop down into place. So make sure this is lined up and in place. Okay, and it feels like it's caught on something. It doesn't want to flop down. Okay, so we'll lift that and get that in. There you go. Okay, and then make sure you pull these cables out of the way. You don't want those going underneath the motherboard, because then you're not going to be able to get it back out. This one gets in the way, so you have to pull this back. All right, then we can go ahead and do that and pull this guy out of the way. And you want to be careful, because these cables are a little bit fragile. You don't want to like yank them too far. Okay, so there we go. And we got these cables, and there we go. All right, so now that we got that, we're going to get that one screw in back there first. So let's zoom in here so you can see better. Okay, so we'll get this screw over here into place. Okay, and once you get that screw in, then the CPU heatsink should be aligned. If you want, you can leave this one also a little loose again, and then we can get the fan in, and then that way you can align everything really well. Okay, make sure this latch is lifted up. We're going to go in at an angle here. Okay, and then get that cable in. I use my fingernail to pull it back, and then get that in the slot. Once it's in the slot, if you push it, it bulges up. You can push that down on the bulge, and it will push it into the slot. Then you can slide that latch down. Usually just slide your finger over. Don't try and pick at it with anything, because then you might break it. All right, so there we got the fan into place. Let's go ahead and get the fan screws into place. There's 3 screws holding this fan. One here. Okay, we got one down here. And then we got, let me see, make sure I don't mix anything up. We got one here. Okay, so now you got these 3 fan screws. You can kind of pull the fan up. I like to pull against the back here and the fan, and then we can tighten these 3 down. That makes sure that the fan is pushed as close into the heatsink as possible. Okay, and now we'll get those 3 fan screws back in. Now that you got those 3 fan screws back in, this should be as lined up as possible. We can go ahead now and tighten this down. Okay, oops, starting up there, this part back there, and then the 4 screws here. And you want to do this at an angle. Since we already put this side down, we're going to start now over here, and you can tighten this side, then we'll tighten this corner. Okay, then we'll go over to this corner, and then we'll tighten this one. And the spring action of this metal piece will continue pushing this until the paste is as flat as possible. Okay, so yeah. All right, then we got this. This is the eyesight or camera, whatever you want to call it, webcam cable. All right, this is a little bit fragile as well. There's not much of a gap here, so you have to use like one of these little tools. You just get in here and then push on the edge like that and just walk it in. Just go one side then the other, left, right, left, right. There we go. And then we got this cable that we got to get back in. This plugs in like the power charger board, or what do you call that again? Not Thunderbolt, MagSafe. The MagSafe charger, as well as the USB port and the headphone jack. All right, so we'll get that cable in, pinch those two pieces together. Also, you have this cable as well that goes to that same board. Make sure you put that back on as well, and don't put it upside down. You should see that it doesn't cover the fan. All right, so we'll get that in, make sure this is flat, and then get this side in. Okay, here we go. All right, I was flattening the cables down because they were sticking up. All right, then we have some more screws that we're gonna have to put in. Make sure that you did tighten all of those. Then we're gonna get this screw over here for the motherboard. Also, these screws are different size, shape, and length, so hopefully you kept them in order. I say in all my videos to put them with the flat side down on your desk in the pattern you remove them, so that you can remember where you got it from. So whatever works for you, you don't have to do it that way, but that's what works best for me. And then I'm gonna pinch these two. It always helps to hold the connector as well, because sometimes the solder's not good on connectors and you don't want to end up pushing it off the motherboard. Okay, all right, then we got that screw for the SSD. Apple uses their own type of SSD that's not an M.2, but yeah. All right, then we got the screw over here. Get that one in. Okay, then we'll get this one in. All right, then we got 3 more screws over here. Got this one. And then we got the 2 over here. All right, it's very important that you plug in everything before you reconnect the battery, at least the LVDS connector, this one. If you plug that back in after you put the battery, there's a good chance you can fry something, the backlight circuit here, you can fry the cable, this connector, and you can fry your screen, so you want to be very careful. Right, so this cable goes like this. The latch is lifted up. I use the bottom of the latch to help pull the connector in, and then flip that and latch it over. Okay, speaker connectors here. I'm gonna go ahead and get that, click that into place. We got this, we'll put that in. Okay, and then slide your finger over to latch it down. This one as well. If you want a description of all these connectors and stuff, I do have a video where I start with completely taking it apart, so that way you can see what's inside, and I kind of talk about what I'm removing. This one is more just showing, I guess, the CPU thermal paste thing, and then putting it back together. All right, we're gonna pinch this back in as well. There we go. We'll get this screw in. Okay, then we have the wireless antenna that we need to put back, so let's zoom out here. Actually, I might have to zoom in so you can see it better. I flipped the laptop over, so we got this piece, and it helps to use some like flat tools or flat screwdriver bits for this. So I'm going to use some smaller, flatter ones here. I'm going to use this, whatever that, it's 3.5, it's like a hex one. Okay, I'm going to zoom in more, and we're going to get the antenna wire in. So this, you got to kind of push it in here. Oops, I'm getting a call or text. Give me a second. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Let's go ahead and get this in. So this is usually a little bit tricky, and it helps to have like 2 tools because you have to kind of push it under this rubber. All right, so there you go. You can see I pushed that underneath. And then on this side, you kind of need something to hold this. Oops, I can't see what I'm recording. Give me a second, I'll be back. All right, I'm back. I'm not sure why, but my Chromecast thing randomly stops like streaming to the screen. But anyways, we're gonna need one thing to pull it that way, and then another thing to pull it this way. So pull that in just like that, and then it should go, it goes underneath the rubber piece. There we go. And then we can pull this in You might have to twist it so that the thing goes vertical this way, because if it's flat this way, it won't go into the slot. And then you can go ahead and push that in. All right, just like that. Continue working your way down the line. Okay, and you will have to push it behind these screw mounts, so make sure to do that. Okay, and then continue working your way over. Okay, just like that. Oops, I didn't show the whole thing, but there we go. We got all of that. Then you have these two notches. The shorter wire goes out the further, all the way over here, and then it connects into here. You gotta line it up. Make sure it's lined up. You know it's lined up because if you try and move it around while it's in place in that spot, it will just catch and it won't move. So it's a little bit tricky. Be very gentle with these. You don't want to try and force it down if it's not lined up. So you can see if I try and move it now, it stays in place. Then you can go ahead and click it down. All right. Same with that one. Line it up and click it down. There we go. All right, so we got the wireless antennas and everything else hooked into place. Let's go ahead now and get the battery back in and then power it up. Hopefully it's good. So we'll get the battery. You want to be careful with the battery when you take it out and put it back in, because you don't want it to get caught on there. So I gotta go at an angle, get this connector lined up in there. Okay, once it's lined up, you can go ahead and kind of pinch the two together and keep holding the battery end up. Okay, pinch that in and then you can drop it in. There we go. All right, then we just got the 5 T5 or Torx 5 screws to put back in. Where'd this fat screw come from? Why do we have an extra random screw here? Did I open something else up or what? Pretty sure I got all the screws in. That's weird. I don't know where this random screw, I think it's from a different computer. All right, let's see. I want to make sure, because I don't remember ever taking a screw like this out of a MacBook. I mean, it's also T5, but yeah, I don't know where that one came from. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back the MacBook battery screws. Okay, there's 5 screws. I don't know where that one screw came from. That's weird. And we'll get them all back in, and that should be pretty much it. All right, get these 5 screws in. And we should be good to go. Right, we'll power it up. Usually after replacing hardware components, I like to do a PRAM or SMC reset, or both of them if I can. So let me show you how to do that real quick. Okay, we got all those screws in. Let's go ahead and put the bottom cover back on top. Click that down and switch back over. We were using a T5 or Torx 5, now we're going to use a P5 or Pentalobe, I believe 1.2. All right, and we'll get these screws back in, and then we're going to do the PRAM and SMC reset. To do that, it does help to have the charger so you can make sure that you're doing the SMC reset properly. Okay, let's get all these screws in. Okay. That's a few screws. All right, and that's pretty much it. And yeah, hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. And if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. And yeah, if you can't do that, it helps to watch a bunch of my other videos. That way the algorithm knows to share my channel. And let me get the charger here now so I can plug this in for you guys. Okay, sorry, I'm getting the cable here. It's on another desk. Alright, so let's go ahead and plug this guy in and we'll see. So first things first, you plug the charger in, and if I have this plugged in the wall, is it plugged in the wall? Oh, it's plugged in, isn't it? Oh no, it's not plugged in. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, there we go. So plug that guy in, and the charge light should come on unless something weird is happening. What's happening here? Light up. I don't know why this charger is not lighting up. Something's not right here. Well, let's try my other one then. I don't know what's going on. Okay, let's try this charger. Get that stuff out of the way. There you go. This one works. For some reason, the other one's not lighting up. All right, so normally this light will go orange if the battery's not 100% or really close to it. I guess the customer did charge it more than, or charge it to 100%. But normally you would do Command Option Shift on the left side and then the power button. If the light's orange, it'll go green and then back to orange, and that's how you know you did the SMC reset right. The computer's actually turning itself on in this case, so we must have done it right. At least I think it's turning itself on. Nope. Okay, let's go ahead and do the PRAM reset. So the PRAM reset is you power it on, and then what you do is Command Option and P and R while the computer's starting up. So let's see. Or is the computer not working? Maybe the motherboard doesn't work. I don't see anything happening. Oh, there you go. The Apple logo's here. Okay. So since this turned on and it didn't make the chime, that means we didn't do the PRAM reset right. So let's do the SMC reset. If the computer's on, if you do Control Option Shift and then the power button, it should turn off immediately without holding the power button. And it turned off. So that's how you know you did the the SMC reset properly. Now let's do the PRAM reset. So you power it on and then hold Command Option P and R. And it should turn on and then turn back off, and then it should start with the chime because it resets the volume to the max, and that's how you know that you did the PRAM reset right. You can just keep holding this and it should eventually chime, assuming it's turning itself on right now. Come on. It might not have turned on, so I might have to do it again. Oh, okay, I see the Apple logo. And it just turned itself on, so I don't know why it's not doing the PRAM reset. Let's try it again. Restart and Command Option P and R. There you go. Now I saw the light on the screen flash. That's usually what it does when it's doing a PRAM reset. So let's see, is it doing it? There we go. Okay, so now you heard the volume go, and that's how you know you did the PRAM reset properly. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, let's turn this off. All right, let's drop this spike.